The night he went to kill his enemy, he didn't expect to fall in love with his wife. And the worst part? She was loyal to the man he came to destroy. In the mafia world, you can steal money. You can steal territory. You can steal power. But you do not steal another king's queen. And Luca Moretti was about to break the only rule that kept the city from burning. The city had already chosen sides. Moretti or Alvarez. There was no neutral ground. For 15 years, those two names divided the streets. Businesses, politicians, bloodlines. And tonight, Luca Moretti planned to end it. Not with war. Not with explosions. With one bullet. From the rooftop across the Alvarez estate, Luca watched the mansion glow under golden lights. Security moved in precise rotations. Black SUVs lined the circular driveway. Rafael Alvarez was home. Luca didn't need confirmation. He felt it. This wasn't revenge. It was strategy. Remove the head. The body collapses. He moved through shadow like he belonged to it. One guard dropped silently. Another never saw him coming. The third reached for his weapon. Too slow. Inside, the mansion was quiet. Polished marble floors. Oil paintings of legacy. Power framed in gold. He stepped toward the master wing. One turn. One hallway. And then footsteps. Soft. Bare. Not Raphael. Luca turned the corner. And froze. She stood there in a silk nightgown. Dark hair loose around her shoulders. A handgun steady in her grip. Isabella Alvarez. Raphael's wife. She wasn't screaming. She wasn't shaking. She was aiming directly at his chest. "If you're here to kill my husband," she said calmly, "you'll have to shoot me first." There was fear in her eyes. But it was buried beneath loyalty. Luca had seen fear before. He had never seen devotion like that. He could have shot her. Stepped over her. Finished the mission. Instead, he lowered his weapon. That was his first mistake. Or maybe his first surrender. He stepped back into shadow and disappeared into the night without firing a single shot. The war continued. But something had shifted. And neither of them could undo it. Isabella never told her husband. Not about the intruder. Not about the gun. Not about the man who spared them both. She kept it locked inside. Like everything else. Weeks later, the city gathered for a high-profile charity gala. Neutral territory. Both families present. Smiles required. Weapons hidden. Isabella stood beside Raphael like royalty carved from stone. Diamonds at her throat. Hand resting lightly on her husband's arm. Perfect posture. Perfect composure. But Luca saw what others didn't. Her smiles never reached her eyes. Across the ballroom, he watched her. And she felt it. Her gaze lifted. Found him. Held. Just for a second too long. Recognition. Memory of that hallway. The music continued. But the air between them thickened. This wasn't attraction. Not yet. It was awareness. Dangerous. Unavoidable awareness. They spoke for the first time at an art exhibition. Public. Controlled. Safe. Luca approached her slowly. "Your aim is steady," he said quietly. She didn't look surprised. "I only miss when I choose to." A small silence passed between them. "You protected him," Luca said. He is my husband. And if he wasn't? That made her turn. That's not a question you should ask. They didn't flirt. They didn't touch. But something electric lingered. From that night forward, their paths crossed more often. A glass passed between fingers. A glance that lasted half a second too long. A breath shared in a crowded hallway. Nothing explicit. Everything forbidden. Then came the storm. A power outage at another public event. Darkness swallowed the room. Gasps. Movement. And in that darkness, a hand found her wrist. Firm. Warm. Familiar. When the emergency lights glowed red, they stood alone in a side corridor. Too close. You're playing with something you can't control, she whispered. So are you. Neither stepped away. The distance between them dissolved into breath. They didn't kiss. But they both knew. If they did, the war would never recover. Raphael noticed. The tension. The silence at Luca's name. The hesitation. He didn't confront her immediately. He investigated. And what he discovered chilled him. Luca had cancelled attacks that would have endangered her events. Delayed shipments near her charities. Redirected violence. For her. Raphael understood something terrifying. His enemy was falling in love with his wife. And his wife was beginning to change. So he did what powerful men do. He set a trap. A fake deal. A leaked location. A message designed to reach Luca's network. He wanted proof. Undeniable proof. The building was abandoned. Perfect for an execution. Raphael stood inside with armed men hidden above. He told Isabella it was a negotiation meeting. She followed without suspicion. Until the warehouse doors opened. And Luca walked in alone. No guards. No backup. Just him. Raphael smiled slowly. I wondered how long it would take. Isabella's stomach tightened. You set this up, she whispered. Raphael didn't look at her. He looked at Luca. You stopped killing my men. Silence. You rerouted shipments. Silence. For her. The word echoed. Raphael raised his gun. And aimed at Luca's chest. Time slowed. Luca didn't reach for a weapon. He didn't plead. He just looked at her. You shouldn't be here, he said softly. That was enough. Isabella moved. She stepped between them. Her back to Luca. Facing her husband. Don't. Just one word. But it carried everything. Raphael stared at her. You would protect him. Her silence was her answer. The men above waited for a signal. The city held its breath. Then, Raphael lowered his gun. Not out of forgiveness, but realization. You chose, he said quietly. And in that moment, the war ended. Not with bullets, but with surrender. Raphael left the city within weeks. No farewell. No revenge. Just absence. Luca never celebrated. There was no victory in this. Only consequence. Months later, Isabella stood on Luca's balcony overlooking the city lights. You destroyed everything, she said softly. No, he replied. I stopped destroying. She turned to him. This won't feel clean. It was never going to. Their love wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was heavy. Built on sacrifice. On betrayal. On choice. He didn't steal her. She chose. And that made it irreversible. In the mafia world, love is weakness. But sometimes, it is the only force strong enough to end a war. And that is far more dangerous than bullets.